Hey garden fam, welcome back to The Sprout. Today we're talking about one of the most rewarding and underrated plants you can grow, honeysuckle. But not just any honeysuckle. We're talking about the edible kind, the one that gives you the first berries of the season, sometimes as early as June. Before strawberries, before cherries, honeysuckle kicks off summer with a burst of sweet, tangy, blue-purple fruits that are packed with vitamin C and antioxidants. And here's the best part. Honeysuckle is almost impossible to kill. It's cold hardy, it tolerates poor soil, it doesn't need constant pampering, and it comes back year after year for decades. You can grow it as a hedge, as a border, or as a standalone shrub. It's beautiful, it's productive, and it's perfect for beginners. Before we dive in, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We put out new gardening videos every week, and I don't want you to miss the next one. Also, drop a comment below. Have you ever tried honeysuckle berries? Do you grow them in your garden? I'd love to hear about it. Now, let's get into it. First, let's talk about what makes honeysuckle so special. There are over 180 species of honeysuckle, but the one we care about for eating is Lonicera caerulea, the blue honeysuckle, also known as haskap or honeyberry. These are the edible ones. The berries are dark blue, oval-shaped, and covered in a waxy bloom. They taste like a mix of blueberry, raspberry, and a little bit of kiwi. They're sweet, tart, and absolutely delicious fresh, in jams, or baked into pies. But here's the thing. There are also ornamental honeysuckles, some of which are invasive and have berries that are not edible or even poisonous. So when you're buying, make sure you're getting edible honeysuckle varieties. Look for names like Borealis, Tundra, Aurora, or Indigo Gem. Now let's talk about planting. The best time to plant honeysuckle is fall or early spring. Fall planting gives the roots time to establish before winter. Spring planting works well too, as long as you do it before the buds break. Choose a spot with full sun to partial shade. Honeysuckle loves sun, but in very hot climates, a little afternoon shade protects the leaves from scorching. In too much shade, you'll get lots of leaves and very few berries. Now let's talk about soil. Honeysuckle is not picky, but it has preferences. It grows best in well-draining, loamy soil. It prefers slightly acidic to neutral pH, between 5.5 and 7.0. If your soil is heavy clay, amend it with compost or sand to improve drainage. If your soil is sandy, add organic matter to help it hold moisture. Honeysuckle does not like wet feet. Soggy soil leads to root rot, so good drainage is key.
Now let's talk about planting. Dig a hole twice as wide as the root ball, but no deeper. The root ball should be level with or slightly above the soil surface. Planting too deep is a common mistake that leads to rot. Backfill with soil, water thoroughly, and mulch. Space your plants according to the variety. For low-growing varieties, space them 3 to 4 feet apart. For taller varieties that you want as a hedge, space them 4 to 5 feet apart. Here's the most important thing about honeysuckle. It is not self-fertile. You need at least 2 different varieties to get fruit. They need cross-pollination. One plant alone will produce very few berries, or none at all. So buy 2 or more different varieties that bloom at the same time. Check with your nursery or garden center for compatible pairs. Now, let's talk about watering. Honeysuckle needs regular water, especially in the first year after planting. Water deeply once a week during dry spells. The key is to keep the soil consistently moist but not waterlogged. In hot, dry weather, you may need to water more often. Established plants are fairly drought tolerant, but they'll produce more and sweeter berries with consistent moisture. Now let's talk about fertilizing. Honeysuckle is not a heavy feeder. Too much fertilizer, especially too much nitrogen, will give you lots of leaves and few berries. In early spring, apply a thin layer of compost around the base of the plant. That's usually enough. If your soil is very poor, use a balanced, slow-release fertilizer like 10-10-10. Do not fertilize after midsummer. You want the plant to slow down and prepare for winter, not push out soft new growth that will be damaged by cold. Now let's talk about pruning. Honeysuckle needs very little pruning, especially in the first few years. For the first 3 to 4 years, don't prune at all. You want the plant to establish and grow. After that, prune in late winter or early spring before the buds break. Remove any dead, damaged, or diseased branches. Remove any branches that are crossing or rubbing against each other. Thin out the center of the shrub to improve air circulation and light penetration. Honeysuckle produces fruit on old wood, so don't prune too heavily or you'll cut off next year's berries. A light trim every few years is plenty. Now let's talk about common problems. Let's go through them one by one. Problem 1. No berries or very few berries. This is almost always because you only have one variety. Honeysuckle needs cross-pollination. Plant at least 2 different varieties that bloom at the same time. Also, late frosts can kill the flowers. If you live in a cold climate, choose late-blooming varieties. Problem 2. Bitter or sour berries. This usually means you're harvesting too early. Wait until the berries are fully blue-purple and come off the stem easily. Taste one. If it's still sour, wait for a few more days. Also, some varieties are naturally tartar than others.
Problem 3. Yellow leaves. Can be overwatering, poor drainage, or nutrient deficiency. Check the soil. If it's soggy, water less. If the soil is dry, water more. If neither, fertilize lightly in spring. Problem 4. Leaves curling or browning at edges. Usually underwatering or windburn. Water deeply during dry spells. Protect young plants from strong winds. Problem 5. Powdery mildew. White powder on leaves. Common in humid weather with poor air circulation. Space plants properly. Prune for good airflow. Water at the base, not overhead. Remove affected leaves. Use a fungicide if severe. Problem 6. Leaf spot. Brown or black spots on leaves. Usually a fungal disease. Remove affected leaves. Don't compost them. Improve air circulation. In severe cases, use a copper-based fungicide. Problem 7. Aphids. Small green or black insects on new growth and flower buds. Spray them off with water. Use insecticidal soap or neem oil for heavy infestations. Ladybugs are natural predators. Problem 8. Spider mites. Tiny pests that cause stippled, dusty-looking leaves and fine webbing. They love hot, dry conditions. Increase humidity around the plant by misting or using a humidifier. Use neem oil or insecticidal soap. Problem 9. Birds eating all the berries. Birds love honeysuckle as much as you do. The only reliable solution is bird netting. Cover the bushes when the berries start to turn blue. Secure the netting to the ground so birds can't get underneath. Problem 10. Root rot, caused by overwatering or poorly draining soil. The signs are wilting, yellow leaves, and mushy roots. Improve drainage, water less. In severe cases, dig up the plant, cut away rotten roots, and replant in better draining soil or a raised bed. Here's where you come in. Drop a comment below. Are you inspired to plant honeysuckle? What would you make with the berries? I'd love to know. Now let's talk about the health benefits. Honeysuckle berries are a powerhouse of nutrition. They contain high levels of vitamin C, even more than oranges gram for gram. They're rich in antioxidants that fight inflammation. They contain potassium, magnesium, and B vitamins. Traditionally, honeysuckle has been used to support immune health and reduce fever. Adding honeysuckle to your garden is like planting a vitamin supplement. Now let's talk about varieties. Here are some excellent edible honeysuckle varieties for your garden. Borealis has large, sweet berries and a compact growth habit. Tundra is cold hardy and produces abundant crops. Aurora has very sweet, flavorful berries. Indigo Gem is a reliable producer with good flavor. Honeybee is known for attracting pollinators. For best pollination, plant at least 2 different varieties that bloom at the same time. Now let's talk about honeysuckle as a hedge. If you want a living fence that gives you food,
Honeysuckle is perfect. It grows 3 to 6 feet tall, depending on the variety. It's dense and bushy. It produces beautiful yellow-white flowers in spring that bees love. And then it gives you berries. Plant them 4 to 5 feet apart for a hedge. Water regularly for the first 2 years. Mulch to keep weeds down. Prune lightly in late winter to maintain shape. You'll have a hedge that's beautiful, productive, and low maintenance. Let me give you a few quick answers to common questions. How long does honeysuckle live? With good care, 20 to 30 years or more. When does it start producing fruit? In the 2nd or 3rd year after planting. Full production by year 4 or 5. How much fruit does a plant produce? A mature plant can produce 5 to 10 pounds of berries per season. Do I need 2 plants? Yes, you need at least 2 different varieties for cross-pollination. Can I grow honeysuckle in a container? Yes, dwarf varieties work well in large pots. Use a pot at least 18 inches wide and deep. Let's wrap everything up. Honeysuckle is one of the easiest and most rewarding fruit shrubs you can grow. Plant it in full sun to partial shade, give it well-draining soil, water regularly, especially in the first year, don't over-fertilize, prune lightly in late winter, harvest the berries in early summer, and most importantly, plant at least 2 different varieties for a good crop. Here's the most important thing to remember. Honeysuckle is not fussy. It doesn't need constant attention. It doesn't need perfect conditions. It's a plant that wants to grow and produce. Give it sun, give it water, give it a friend for pollination, and it will reward you with years of delicious, healthy berries. This is the plant for gardeners who want results without the stress. Before you go, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and leave me a comment. Are you going to plant honeysuckle this year? What will you make with the berries? I'd love to hear about it. Also, what fruit shrub should I cover next? Currants? Gooseberries? Elderberries? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Take care of your garden and it will take care of you. See you in the next video.